Hi and welcome to the video where we will create material which will allow us to set and display any values we would want and use for this just a single small texture, which could be very useful in such maps as Tycoons. And I would like to say big thanks to all my supporters and all creators who are watching my videos. And source files from this video will be available for everyone for free on my Patreon as a giveaway for 2K subscribers. So thank you all and let's begin. Okay, let's start from the texture. As I already mentioned in intro, you can grab this texture and material from that, but particularly this texture from my Patreon for free, or you can create same one. So let's just look into that. And this is actually same texture I already used for my timer. This is with distance field numbers, and there are a few channels like that, and we have from 0 to 9 or from 1 to 0. We don't care actually about rest channels. We will use today just only red channel. I want to just point out a few things. So you may notice this number is inverted horizontally. This is because I needed this to make it work properly. And second thing, I want just update it a little bit because we can actually reduce all that even more. So from my previous few videos, I was talking more about distance field and how we can basically make sharp text and numbers with really small resolution. But today we can go even smaller because we actually don't need all three channels, and we just need this again, black and white red channel. And then because of that, we don't need vector displacement, which actually pretty big, but then when we're lowering resolution, it gets pretty small. But now for this particular, we can go with a grayscale. So as you can see, my texture become just black and white, and all three channels except red channel, they are now switched off. So we have just only one channel. So is that, but then size, while pixel size, it's the same, but our resource size, it's much, much smaller now. So it's great. So this one thing. Another thing, sRGB should be disabled. And of course, it will be disabled if you will switch to grayscale. And that's it. So everything else is by default. Let's save. And now let's jump into material. So in this material, we will use just only one texture. And usually what we do, we have one texture, but then we're doing multiple samples. And it's actually like more samples, it's always more costly. But in this particular material, we will use just only one single sample. And the numbers could go really crazy, like 100 millions. But keep in mind, bigger the number, you will start to see some discrepancy. So maybe don't go like into billions. So we will have just only one sample, and then everything else, it will be math. And I want to point out that how I end up like with this material, I actually was thinking how I can create with as less samples as possible, because imagine if we have million, right? So we have 7 digits. So it means 7 samples. And then what if even more? So it could go crazy. And especially on mobile devices, that wouldn't be supported. And I start thinking what we're using a lot for checking stuff. And it's actually this node, debugging node. If we will preview it, it shows us numbers because everything in materials, has value, even colors. And we can see that it can go really crazy into many these digits. And while in UEFN, if you will try open it, it's enabled, but in Unreal, we can. So in Unreal, I just opened that and I look like it's crazy, lots of math there, but I just figure out, like I reverse engineered it, and it's actually using just only one single texture. And I reverse engineered, so I only grabbed what we really need. And yeah, so today, that's what I will be showing. So let's start. So first of all, let's start with inputs. Just to have less spaghetti, so we will have separations from inputs, and then we can connect them wherever we need these inputs. So first of all, it will be our value, of course. And yeah, let's keep that. Then straight away from that, we can have root node and value. This particular technique, it requires to split UVs. So it's basically UVs helps us to apply texture on object, right? And we can split these UVs and tell how many times to repeat, different stuff we can do with that. And this technique, it's actually how many times we repeat, and then in each column, we're telling what number to display. And I will start now with manual, but then later on, we will do this automatic as well. But it's super useful. And let's do digit scale. So for now, this will be manual, but then later we will calculate that automatically. So let's start with texture coordinates. Then we need scale by center. Yeah, we will use by center. And then here will be our scale. Then we need to do addition. And so basically we will have one discard and more numbers will be appearing. Basically they would go or to the right or to the left. And I think like by default it's by the right. What I want to do is basically keep them in the center. So when we're adding new values, so for example, if we have 1, then 10, then for example 100. So now we had like 1 digit, now 2 digits, 3 digits. So based on the digit, it needs to basically shift our whole value a little bit to the left or to the right to keep it more or less in the center. So this is what we will do with that. So it will be addition and division. Now we need our number of digits because it will be based on that. We need multiply. And if you won't use my texture and it will be your texture, maybe these numbers will be different a little bit because I was measuring based on my numbers. So they're not universal for every. So it would be really best idea just to grab my texture from Patreon. So subtract 0.21, then append vector, and this one will be just 0. So this will be our x, so it's horizontal because we want to move values horizontally, and vertically we're keeping them in the center, so they will be stay in the center anyways. And why I'm multiplying by 21 and this 0.21 and then subtracting 0.21 is basically I want that when it's a 1 digit and not 0, so if that would be 0 and multiply by that, it would be 0. But I want to start with a 0. But in our case, number of digits will be starting with a 1, not a 0. So that's why this number will always start with a 0.21 instead of 0. So that's why I'm subtracting just this same value, because then if it will be 2 multiplied by that, then it will start as a 0.21. Okay, so is that, then it goes in here. And now we will adjust scale a bit. So again, based on this one, we need multiply and then append. So this goes here, and in here it will be 0.5, and vertically will be 0.8. Okay, now we will do splitting. So from here we need multiply, then vector 2, because this will be our vector 2. So it goes here, and then this one is here, and x will be 1, and this will be 0.1. We need mask it. So basically we're splitting now into R and G. So on top it's R, on bottom it's G. Let's invert this one and multiply. And in here we will tell how many digits we have. number of digits. Now here we need fraction. And I will add, so this one controls scale of the digits. But then here, when we're fractioning, so basically each column, we will control scale as well. So basically how wide or narrow they are. Okay, so divide. I'm just inputting these numbers because, again, I know from my tests, it's based on my texture. Okay. And here we need append. And after append, it will go into UVs. But of course, we need now B. So basically, we need Y. Okay, we need now create mask for the columns. So for this, we will use sphere mask. Actually, 2. So we need them sharp, then radius, or both will be same. Radius and B basically same, 0.5. Then we need component mask. So this is our R channel, and this will be our G channel. So it's one mask vertical, one will be horizontal. Okay, and we need then connect this from division. If, for example, I would preview that, actually input something like that. And now we can multiply that. Okay, now we need clamp. And I'm not sure how this works. It's a little bit strange, but it works. That's most important thing. Without it, it's basically glitching. It's not just wrong numbers, but like it's really glitching on the screen. But basically what in there is it's clamping between 0 and 0. This is interesting because 0, 0, it should be output 0, right? And in here, instead of clamping, we clamp by minimum. So don't forget, change that, okay? So we have this, then we can collapse that. And we need seal it and add 1. Then we need power. And actually this will be in exponential, and in the base will be 10. So this helps us to tell, because we masking our columns, but then what exactly digit should be in what column, because otherwise it would be same digit. Even if you will input, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, it would be just 1, 1, 1, 1 or 2, 2, 2, 2. So this is for that. Now we need our value, then use absolute. So it makes it always positive. And we need to divide this by this. Then we need frac. And floor. And at the end, divide by 10. Then we need to add this to this G channel. More organized. So this portion, it was named. So I will keep as it was in there. And now from this add, we're actually connecting this to append. Actually, not much left. So we will use these masks later. Actually, we now can connect these masks. So we will just multiply it and we will use red channel. You can reuse reroute node if you want. That looks fine. And now just saturate. Let's add to emissive. Let's change it to masked and unlit. And you can see we're starting to see something. It's not enough yet, of course. Okay. So as I said, we need how many digits are there because we're using it here and in a few other places. So if, for example, I would set 200, see my mask, it's still there because it thinks that it's one digit. So I need manually put, for example, 3. See, like so I have 3 numbers. And actually let's add function to deal with this distance field. So then our text is sharp and it's not looking like that. So we've got this, then let's leave this saturation here for now. So then we can move step. 0.4 and 0.45 should be fine. And then we can use saturation here at the back. Yeah, start to see. Later I will need to recheck if I didn't miss anything, but it looks like it's fine. Okay. So we have this. We actually can connect this to opacity. And let's check our texture. Oh yeah, it's fine. I forgot to mention, we basically need horizontally, so it's basically on x-axis to clump it, while vertically it could be wrap. So that's fine. And let's create plane so we can apply it on the plane and see how it looks. Yeah, I think it's this way. Okay, let's see. It's not perfect yet. So in here, in the mask, as I said, I need R and G, and it's actually here was RG. So we need this fix. And in here, it was like this division, and it's actually should go from 0.5 like that. So as you can see now, it's fixed. We have our 100. So this one, it was most important. Yeah. So again, I was showing like this, but it actually should go from this. And the rest should be fine. And now, where's our value? So this is our value. And look, if we will change it, works like that. And you see my number here, it's really huge, but it's again shows only 3 numbers and last 3 numbers, all because of this number of digits. So we need to fix that now. So there is a simple formula how to calculate how many digits we have in the value. So we can delete even this one. Now we need value, of course. Then we need log 10. Then we need floor-it. Then add 1. And now if we will debug it, let's preview our debugging. Look, basically says, yeah, you have 3 numbers here. If I will say it's one, like, oh, 10,000. Should actually say 5. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Just in a second, I will check. What most important thing in here is that, let's say, even if I will have 0, you see what's going on, and 0 is still number, right? Maybe you want to show 0. So we will use if, and we will say if, so basically in a B it's basically 0, and we're saying if our A input it's larger than B, so it's larger than 0, then use that value, right? So use whatever value will be there. But if it's equal or smaller, then we will say just use 1. You see now when I'm inputting 0, it still says it's 1. And that into number of digits. Now, and see it's automatically updates. So we don't need to specify now how many numbers are there. And number can go really into crazy. It's basically because we have this card, yeah, like plane. So as much space you have there, so many numbers will go there. But you can already notice that because this number is really huge, if you look into my number here and there, it's not exactly the same because of the like large number. So don't go crazy. Okay, so let's maybe just put 999. Okay, so this will be our inputs. Now let's finish in here. So this made already our text really sharp and looking nice. And what we want now is to add ability to color, and I want to add outline. You can remove that outline if you don't want, but sometimes looks cool. So we will use sign for that. And in the sign, I will set it to 2. And then again, smooth step. And I will repeat again. As you can see, these numbers, especially these numbers for the outline and for the smooth step, I just input these numbers because I know that they look good on my, again, these numbers. But if in your case it's not, just create scalar parameters and control that from the scene. Okay, but yeah, for outlines, I will create scalar parameters. So outline contrast minimum. So I will set it to 0.9, really close to 1, and this one as well, 0.87. If we will preview that, you can see how it looks. So our outline, usually text is white and outline black, but in our case, outline is white. But we will use this as a mask. So we know that white now outlines. So in the lerp, actually, let's use saturation just in case. And let's create 2 colors. So this will be our digits color and outline color. So because, again, mask is white for outline, so it goes to B, and digit color goes to A and into emissive. So let's set color for them white, but you can set whatever color you want. And let's see. Nice. And with this texture, so you see it's 256 by 2048, but we can even lower that. And now you see it's 171 kilobytes and 128 by 1024, and it looks pretty good. Okay, so this is cool. What I want to add now is basically make this plane always face camera. So let's use sprite, connect it to world position offset, And in here, we just need scale. So this will control scale, not the numbers, but scale of the plane. So scalar and size Y. Let's set it maybe like 200 by default, and pen vector. Vector 2 and connect into scale. And we're done in here. So again, small texture and one sample, and just a little bit of the math, and it's working. What I will maybe do now, if you want to control that through the verse, don't do it. But usually I see many cards placed in a tycoons and then with different numbers, right? And you can use material instances for that and then control that maybe from the verse. If you just want to place that card, you don't need material instances. Let's use custom this data. So let's start with value of 0 of index. So this is our value. Then what we want to control, maybe digit scale. Let's control that. So again, in this indexes should be always different. So if 1 is 0, another should be 1, and then 2, 3, 4. Okay. Okay, so left only this. So let's control contrast. You can always set it here. We don't need to expose that. But then colors and size, definitely. So let's maybe start with the colors. So we stopped on a 1. So let's now use this as a 2. But don't forget, color node, it takes each channel for the index. So we have 4 channels, RGBA. So it means 2, 3, 4, 5. So next one should start with a 6. So again, custom data. So now we have 6, 7, 8, 9. So next one should start with a 10. So now let's set size to 10 for the X and for the Y, 11. Let's save and close for now. Yeah, it's gone because now you see like it's invisible. We will scroll down. We have all these parameters in here. So you just need to click on plus to unlock them. And as you can see, it's working. And now, for example, I can set change like that, right? I can control color for the text, for example. And beauty of that I can just duplicate this text, right? Maybe you want a different price, maybe 100. And maybe it should be green. And for example, if you want exactly the same number, you can just copy this hex code, go to outliner and Control V, and you get rid of your outline. So number will look like that. So we don't need to even add some nodes to control, do you want outline or no outline? That's cool. And yeah, so this is totally working. And let's quickly show you that if you have prop, it's actually doesn't matter. It's basically the same. I won't even name it really quickly. That plane. I won't even rotate this plane, so you know how to do it. So we have that. Most importantly, just apply our material in here. Okay, and so when we're selecting now plane, and maybe even if I would apply even here, so for example, in this root mesh component, let's look if it's working or not. There's our plane. Let's get rid of that. Custom data, yeah. So you can add as a separate static mesh component or into this root one, and we still have all these parameters. So now let's expose them so it will be visible. Let's close our blueprint and let's drag and drop it here. And we have our numbers. So now if you want to change this, of course, you have all these prop parameters, but you can actually click on this static mesh, right? And then scroll down and you have all your parameters in here. So, and because it's a prop, then later you can do something with it. And yeah, and you see this is basically digit scale, and that's why we want to control it separately, because if digits will be like too large, they will go, basically will be clipped by the size of the plane itself. So you can always adjust that as well. Yep, so here you go. So all the source files of this material and texture will be available for everyone again for free, for your support for the 2K of subscribers on our YouTube channel. So thank you for watching, and hopefully again with previous tutorials and this tutorial, now your Tycoon maps won't be so huge just because of the texture. So you can now create and numbers and words with much more efficient way. Okay, so have fun. I would like to say thank you to my all supporters. I appreciate your support. Thank you for your generosity. You can join our growing Discord community, where we like to discuss UEFN tips and tricks, showcase our work, and help each other. You can find link in the description or in the channel header. You can get project files on my Patreon or just buy me a coffee to support me. If you're interested in learning more about UEFN materials, coding, widget UI, and more, feel free to subscribe and click that bell icon to get notifications when new videos will be released. See you soon.